North and South Korea are talking again, and the stakes are huge. North Korea has attained nuclear weapons capabilities. The two countries remain technically at war, and the US has a big military presence in the region. However, the South and North competed together as a united Korea during this year's Winter Olympics. And planning has commenced on an unprecedented meeting between President Trump and leader Kim Jong Un. Before we go any further, here's how we got here in the first place. Japan annexed the Korean peninsula from 1905 to the end of World War II. But when the Japanese Empire fell in 1945, the peninsula came under the control of the Allied powers, specifically the Americans and the Soviets. With Cold War tensions rising, a border was drawn in 1945 along the 38th parallel to split the peninsula, dividing the country in two. The US administered the occupied area south of the line, and Communist Russia oversaw the north. The intention was for the US, Russia, China, and the UK to return a unified Korea to its people within 5 years. In 1948, the Soviet Union chose Kim Il-sung to lead the North, establishing the reign of the Kim family. As the planned end of the provisional governments came within sight, tensions rose on the peninsula over future communist or capitalist rule. Thinking the South was going to attack, the North launched a surprise invasion in 1950, triggering the Korean War. North Korea easily defeated the South, but with help from American troops and US air support, the South slowly pushed North Korea back to the 38th parallel and established the 4-kilometer buffer now referred to as the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. A peace treaty was never signed. Now on to North Korea's nukes. North Korea's nuclear weapons program, which started under Kim Il-sung, has never been a secret. The Soviets counseled North Korea through the early stages of the program, and the North has continued developing weapons, despite repeated efforts from the international community to stop it.
There have been multiple past agreements with North Korea over its nuclear program. In 2000 and 2007, North Korea received economic benefits in return for limiting its nuclear activities. But those agreements failed after North Korea returned to those nuclear activities and to developing nuclear weapons. In the past, North Korea has maintained its right to nuclear power and said that its nuclear weapons are a hedge against a perceived threat from the United States.
But it's not just about nukes. The North Korean military has 1.1 million troops at the ready. In comparison, the US has maintained about 28,000 troops in South Korea since the end of the Korean War.
For the Americans, if there's peace, and they may not be needed as much.
And that matters because the Korean Peninsula is the closest US troops can occupy to both China and Russia, effectively allowing them to keep the two countries in check. But the North has signaled it might be flexible.
Kim Jong Un hasn't said much yet, but according to the Chinese and the South Koreans, he's willing to stop testing ballistic and nuclear weapons. He's willing to dismantle a weapons testing site. He's willing to give up on previous demands that the United States pull all their troops out of South Korea. And he's willing to discuss the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Meanwhile, South Korea has stopped blasting the country's distinctive K-pop music across the border, a move aimed at reducing military tensions to create a mood for peaceful talks. With tensions easing, all eyes are on this summit for any sign of breakthroughs between the two Koreas. And remember, another big meeting is on the horizon.